Has any of your personal expectations limited or further advanced your goals, and how so?
Personal expectations.
Of yourself, of how you should be performing as...
Oh. Is it okay if I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I teach this class at Yale. It's an introductory global health class, and at the beginning, I let the students ask me some questions, and somehow I ended up talking about how I always want to do my best at everything, and one of the students said, "So are you a perfectionist?" And I was a little taken aback, and then I said, "Yeah." And I think for me, being a perfectionist is both a driving force and also something that can be really hard, because perfect is almost always this next thing that you can keep working toward and keep working toward. So it's definitely a part of what's helped me do what I've done, but sometimes, you know, you have to sleep and you need to relax and you need to do things that are, you know, sometimes it's okay to get a B, and that's hard for me.
Thank you. And for you?
I would say that I'm more purpose-driven. When I think about what I expect I can do, sometimes I get a little lost in my own insecurities. But when I focus on the problem and what my goals are for that issue, like I feel so empowered, like I'm like a dragon. Shoot, you cannot stop me.
Yeah, I'm actually fairly similar. Like once I get this idea, I realize that I just kind of have to do it. Like a stupid thing is showing the picture of myself on stage. I realized that I thought that was hilarious. So I was going to have
hilarious.
But so this database that I launched, I only launched it about 3 months ago, but I've been working on the project for 8 years.
Wow.
But even from the beginning, I was just like, this is so much data. I didn't mention this, but I have 240,000 different abundance measurements of these elements. So it's so much, and it's way more than one person could never do in their career. So once I had the idea, I was like, I'm going to not quit until this is online for everybody to access.
Thank you. And my other question is, what are some words of wisdom for anyone here who may be starting out or are interested in similar industries as you?
The greatest advice I got was actually from one of my closest friends in high school, who she got like amazing grades, was like beloved in our school, and everybody loved her. I loved her too. But my favorite thing that she ever said to me that made me, I think, just go hard at everything that I do was that she says, it's not that I am naturally equipped to, like, you know, be likable or to do well. She says, I just work really hard. Like, nobody knows how many hours I put in, like how early I get up, you know, like how much work she puts into anything that she does. And I thought that was excellent advice, because it's so true. Like, everything's going to be challenging in the beginning, and sometimes goals can seem so far away, but if you're ready to grind, like, everything is within your reach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty much.
The same.
What
she said.
I have a thought on it specifically about global health, because I came through a pathway of studying basic science, and my PhD was in a lab. And I have a few times in my life felt like I was off the path I wanted to be on. And that can be really discouraging. And at one point I was thinking I might go to med school. At one point I was thinking I might go to law school. At one point I was thinking I might do both. And what I've learned is that not all who wander are lost. And I have found a way to get to where I wanted to be by doing lots of different things. And so I would say, trust your instincts and have good mentors who support you and advise you, and they're there for you to help you find your way. That helped me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you for
that's actually really great, because so what I do is I do a little bit of everything. My research, I just say it's very broad, because I can do stars, I can do planets, I can do everything in between, and that's actually pretty rare for an astronomer to do this. Normally when you go to school, and especially graduate school, they're like, you need to focus on one specific topic and go like really, really narrow and study that. And I don't care about one specific thing. I like the big picture. And so I've written papers about one single planetary system, but that's not as interesting to me as looking at all of this data. And so yeah, I think just following what actually is your passion is very important.
Thank you so much. So now we are going to open the floor to answer some questions that you guys have asked, and we'll give that to you.
All right, thanks, Ricky. Keep getting those questions in via Twitter. The hashtag is IFBG18. And we'll start off with a question for all three of you. If you were to go back in time and tell yourself something that you didn't know in the past, what would it be? And this question comes in from Bob.
I guess mine would just be that I actually will do this. I struggled quite a lot, and I know I sort of briefly talked about it, but I struggled a lot. And so I think, finding my self-confidence didn't happen until graduate school. I was in like my mid-20s. So I would tell myself that I can do it and that I will do it. And I think that would have helped a lot of hard nights.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, yes. Yes.
I think I definitely agree with that, and I would also say to my younger self, there are going to be possibilities for you that you cannot imagine. Have faith in your abilities, try really hard, work really hard. I mean, I had not heard of global health until grad school. You know, I didn't even know that the profession that I now have existed. So I would say, keep going, trust, it will be there, you'll find your way.
Thank you.
All right, this next question comes in from Colin Williams. He wants to know, for Natalie, two-part question. Number one, do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
We've been getting that one quite a bit.
What's the second part?
Have you ever wanted to travel into space?
I will answer the first one. I have applied to be an astronaut a few times. Haven't made it quite yet, but yes, I very much want to go into outer space. And I've told my husband that at some point I will probably blow our savings to get me into space. He also does astronomy, so he gets it. And yes, I do believe in aliens. It's a question I always get, but it would be, if you just think of the statistics, it's actually, in my opinion, fairly obvious. Like, yeah, we had to have all of the right things to have life on Earth. You had to have the right elements, the right kind of star. The planet had to be at the right distance from that star. There's a lot of things that had to happen just right. But when you look at the vastness of the universe, how many stars there are, how many of those stars have planets, how many of those planets are going to have the right circumstances, you will get a not small number. So I think it's fairly likely that there are aliens. Now, whether we're going to find that anytime in the near future is a different question, because when you're dealing with these sort of statistics, you do have to take into account the vastness of space. The closest star right now is about 4 light years away, meaning it would take quite a long time for a human to get there. And as much as I love me some Star Trek, and the idea of being able to communicate and talk with other life forms on different planets, I think it's going to be quite a long time until we're there, which makes me sad because it means that in my lifetime, also in your lifetimes, we likely won't get to that point. And it sort of makes me wish I could live longer until we do. But yes, I do think that there are aliens.
How exciting. Jessica, this is a question we've been getting quite a bit. People want to know, what happened to your foot and is it okay?
Yeah, I feel so bad. It was a sledding accident.
Sledding, not skiing.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's really sad. Like I'd worked like probably an 11-hour day, and some friends were like, "Jessica, get out of the house." I was like, "Sure." There's a park real close to me, and it was snow outside in Louisville, and I thought, why not? Go for it. The hill was just ice. I careened right into a tree. Like, literally. I was only out there for like 5 minutes. I had to go home. It was pretty sad. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's healing up, we hope?
Huh?
It's healing up, we hope?
Yes, this is actually the end of my cast journey. So hopefully I won't even have it next week. So that's the goal. Yes.
All right, this next question comes in from Diana Wolf. She asks, what advice can you give on how to find or realize what your passion is? I see some students struggling with not knowing.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I can start. Okay, so the thing that I did, I wrote it on a slide, was I actually did internships during college. So the National Science Foundation has these experiences. They're called research experiences for undergraduates. So you can apply, and it means that you can go to different universities and work with a professor there during the summer. You get paid. And you can try these different sorts of like things that you might think are interesting. So I actually thought what I wanted to do was star formation. The idea of that was like, oh, that's so cool. You have stars and like exploding and other stars are made and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's really boring when you do the actual research. It was mostly just counting like little blips on a map, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. But what I want to do is actually what I'm doing. So that was a good way for me to find out when I knew that I really liked astronomy and everything. But that being said, I also took what's now referred to as a gap year. I took a break between undergrad and grad school, and I was a waitress, a bartender, and a receptionist at a day spa, and that made me realize that I wanted to actually stay in school and continue what I was doing. So
I think it goes back to what we were kind of talking about earlier about exploring different things, like different interests, and if there's even an issue that really fires you up, you know, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way, like that could be an opportunity for you to like grow a passion or grow a career, and it kind of just, it goes with finding something that you like to do or something you find yourself going back to doing. Like I used to doodle all the time in class. Like I was that kid just like scribbling on a piece of paper, and that's how I kind of got out my energy. And inevitably I was like, how can I turn art into a way that I can really start showing more positive images of people of color? And then that evolved in another way and another way. And I just had to be okay with the fact that even though I was exploring career options, that no career option I found yet actually fit me. When I created Grids, which is a social enterprise, it's very unique and very different, especially for the region that we are in the country. And that's fine. Like, be that niche. Yes, you stand up tall with that new job, making your own title. Like, I'm just saying, feel confident in what you're interested in. Go for it, all the way in.
Yeah, and I would say pay attention to what you voluntarily read or do with your free time. If you're reading the news, you know, there are all different kinds of topics in whatever newspaper, whatever your news feed is on your device, but you're only going to click on certain things. Or you'll hear something on TV or in a movie and you'll think, oh, I'd like to know more about that. Pay attention to that because that tells you something about where your passions lie. And it may be hidden, maybe a favorite movie. What do you love about that movie? Maybe there's something in it about, you know, for me it was kind of the fundamental injustice of people in the world being sick just because of where they were born. And that drove me to think about medicine, think about law, think about policy. But I always came back to why is it that that's true? And I don't think that's how it should be. So you might actually know that deep down, and it reveals itself in little ways that you should pay attention to.
All right, this next question comes in from Mackenzie Woods. She asked, who inspired you to pursue your careers, and how did they help you in tough times?
Oh, gosh. Well, maybe I can go. For sure, my parents, who in my room, in my bedroom when I was a little girl, had this sign that said, girls can do anything. So nobody, yes. Because it's true. It's right. It's true. Yes. So I don't think they knew what it was going to be. My mom at one point said, man, it has been a real, she didn't say man, she said, it has been a real adventure being your mother. So I think that, and then I actually paid attention to what some people in my life, there was a woman who was at Yale and now she's president of Vassar College. Her name's Elizabeth Bradley. And she is a major player in global health and has been just an outstanding, amazing person. And I tried hard to get to know her, and she became a mentor of mine and really believed in me and supported me in the tough times, which is why I said earlier, find good mentors. Find people with whom you feel safe to share your dreams and your fears, and who are there for you when you're dreaming and when you're accomplishing, and who are there for you when you're failing and you're struggling. So I'm not, that may have been a little...
No, it's good. Yeah.
I would say mine have been the women in my family, especially my grandmother, who, she's the type of woman that does what she wants. And that's great, though. It's outstanding. Like, when she retired from the school system, she ended up starting the restaurant. So it's been open for over 30 years now. And it was just an idea. She was like, okay, I want to start feeding the community. And then while she had the restaurant, she was like, but what are different ways that I can engage with the community? And she started having events. Like, she created a festival called Salute to Black Jockeys that ran for several years. And it celebrated Black history within Derby in Louisville. And she just got honored by the Kentucky Derby for what she did. You know, and she was doing all sorts of like pop-up events, all sorts of things, because she just do what she wants. And I'm like, all right, Nana, yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was my parents. So my parents are both professors, but like they started off struggling like quite a lot. And so like my dad, when he tells me about some of the stories of when he had me as a graduate student, and then he was working like 5 different, she's teaching 5 classes, what's a side job? And I was just like, how did you do all of that? So I was like, okay, well, if he can do this, I can definitely do this. And I was very proud of myself when I got my PhD before him. But also, yeah, definitely strong women. One of the reasons I named my catalog the Hypatia catalog was because, excuse the language, she was a badass. She's totally cool. So Hypatia, she lived in Alexandria, like 300-ish AD. And she was so respected in her community. And so she taught classes from her house, and she taught on philosophy and astronomy and in math. And the magistrates, who are like the top people in the community, would come and talk to her. And this was like at a time when women were not doing anything. And so here was this woman, and she was so prominent and so well respected. And I was just like, that is awesome. However, because of that, she was actually pretty brutally killed. Ooh. So at least I was able to honor her a little. But she was cool, and I really love her. And like I always like read about strong women. Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth, she is like one of my heroes, because yeah, she was also a badass.
Well, following up on that, a comment from V. Clifford for Natalie says, Natalie would make a great astronaut, like Yas Queen. Thank you, V, for that encouragement.
I appreciate the way you read that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'll try to see if we can get a audience pick for an astronaut.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I'm sure I'd be cool.
All right, last question. Like we said, keep getting those questions in. Our speakers will be able to go back and answer those after the festival is over. But our last one, and I'm going to change this one just a bit. It says, what would you say to young researchers, and so Jessica, I'll say for you, designers, or anyone in the creative fields, when you don't get the results that you expect?
That can be good. It can be good to get results you don't expect, because that means that nobody else will expect it either. So you either have something awesome on your hands or something that's kind of a null result. But that's okay too, because that's still a thing. So actually, unexpected results can be really, really great. So yeah, go with that.
You want to go?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like, yes, unexpected results, like that means it's going to guide your work in a whole different direction. Like if it's unexpected results on a project you've already been working on, and maybe you're surveying, like this is just an opportunity for you to pivot and make that program even better, or make that research project even better, because really your end game is to have the greatest impact. So please, like, as many things that are outliers to explore, as many ways that kind of we have to deviate from whatever our current plan is, it shows that we're being authentic in the way that we are engaging with the data, and we're being ethical, right? Like, we follow where the data takes us.
Yeah. And I would say, so results you don't expect, absolutely you can learn from it, and maybe it'll take you in a new direction. Sometimes I've had things that just outright didn't work, and it was really discouraging. Sometimes I've had papers get rejected or grant applications get rejected, which is a little different than results you don't expect. But I wanted to share a piece of advice that I got from a good mentor, someone whom I admire, who said, okay, give yourself a little bit of time to feel bad about that, to feel sorry, to think, oh, that's a real bummer, and then have that be over and learn from what went wrong so that it doesn't happen again. And I think that's been something that I've really tried to do. It's hard when it's something you really care about, but it also has helped redirect and find new ways to do the next thing.
All right, another round of applause for these 3 wonderful speakers.